Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Cosmic Culture, the channel where we talk about all major movie and television news, theories, breakdowns, and more. I'm Chris, and today I decided it was time to compile all of the evidence for Spider-Man No Way Home that all leads towards it being a multiverse Spider-Verse film. Now I know as a fan base and as a social media outlet, a lot of scoopers and YouTubers have been coming to us all and saying, guys, this is going to be a multiverse film, and it's going to feature Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, as well as Tom Holland, obviously, and it's going to be the coolest thing that's ever happened in the history of a movie. And frankly, as you all know, we still have zero official confirmations that this is actually true. And yet, there are still a dozen or more very, very well-known scoopers who are generally right about a lot of stuff, who continue to say and bash the drum of Spider-Verse film. And to be completely honest, looking at all of this evidence that I have been able to find and compile that all just points for me towards a multiverse Spider-Man film, I understand why everybody is saying this, and maybe you will too after we go over this very long list of different things that prove we should be expecting a multiverse film. Quick reminder guys, the Cosmic Wonder and I are both giving away a Marvel Legends series Stormbreaker. All you have to do to enter is be subscribed to his channel, and of course this channel, and we'll be picking a random comment for the winner at the end of the giveaway, so good luck. Now, this list isn't in any particular order. There aren't anything that's more pressing than others. I'm going to share my thoughts on each of them, and of course, let me know what you think in the comments section down below, and if there's any evidence that I missed. Now, with that being said, I'm going to start with what for me is the most compelling. It's the first thing that came to mind when I thought about all of the different things that are going on, the rumors, the evidence, the leaks, and it is that Kevin Feige, during December's Investor Day meeting, specifically said that this third Spider-Man film is connected to the Multiverse of Madness, the next installment of Doctor Strange, which we know already has to do with Wanda, who is currently messing with the Darkhold and was last seen listening to her son's voices, probably coming from a different multiverse. We know the title of this movie is the Multiverse of Madness, and we also know that Spider-Man connects directly to it. And we're pretty sure that after the events of Avengers Endgame and Captain America going back in time after the entire crew went back in time in order to save reality as we know it, things are going to be a little bit messed up, and reality is going to have a lot of different problems. Plus, we're getting the Loki series, which talks all about different variants and the multiverse getting messed up. All of this different information on top of WandaVision with the Darkhold really just points to the multiverse kind of crumbling and falling apart, and that's why Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange is going to have to fix it. And if Spider-Man connects directly to it, that definitely means there has to be some kind of multiverse issue somewhere in there. The next thing for me that is extremely compelling comes from the Cosmic Wonder YouTube channel, and it was a relatively recently leaked Latin American trailer or TV spot for the next Spider-Man installment, and it talked specifically about the multiverse and even showed Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. Now, yes, of course, there's a possibility that this was fan-made, but the reason why I'm specifically fixated on this one is the Cosmic Wonders channel actually received an actual copyright strike for the video, and it was taken down. Now, it was taken down by Sony, and a copyright strike is a little bit different than a copyright claim, whereas the channel actually can get in trouble for that because it was not his information to share. So that is very compelling to me because the only reason Sony would do that, especially when we are already posting trailers and leaks and interviews, all sorts of stuff, is because it was information that Sony didn't want out, and they wanted to make sure it wasn't only taken down, but there was a little bit of fear for the YouTube channels that were going to share it so that they wouldn't talk about it any further. Next on my list is one of the more recent things that have been happening and circulating around, and that is the recent Andrew Garfield interviews. He's gone on a few separate times now and given what seems to be a scripted response when he's asked about Spider-Man 3 and his involvement in No Way Home. And for me, and pretty much for everybody who's seen it, it just seems like some very bad acting. He's looking away from the camera when he's saying these things, which kind of shows that he might be lying. It's all very scripted and rehearsed. He stutters a ton, and then at the end of his last interview, he says, you know, but never say never, I might receive a call. And filming's completely done, so there's no way he's going to receive a call now. Filming is over for the movie. It all just seems very suspicious and peculiar, and Marvel actors are famous for lying about whether or not they've been talked to or given roles, and we have that example from Paul Rudd for Ant-Man and She-Hulk's Tatiana Maslany. Following that, we have a little bit of Tobey Maguire evidence. Now, there have been multiple sightings of him in LA. One time before the filming for Spider-Man Far From Home, which took place in Atlanta, where people saw him going for an outfit fitting. And as it turns out, there aren't really too many movies that he's confirmed to currently be working on. I know there are some rumors about movies he might be involved in, but nothing really that is immediately on the horizon and would require a costume fitting. Now, if he was getting ready to film No Way Home, of course he would need to have a costume fitting. It's been a long time since he has suited up as Spider-Man, and it just so happens to fit the timeline for right before Far From Home started filming. He was then again not seen in LA until after the Far From Home shoots were complete. The movie had wrapped filming, and they saw him again, now this time shaven and in better shape. Probably more in shape as you would find a Spider-Man character to be than he was before after not having played the role for a very long time. Plus having the clean shaven look, as he probably would because that's how he looked in the original Spider-Man he played, kind of makes you wonder just a little bit. The next part of my argument is very compelling as it comes from Alfred Molina, who plays Doc Ock in the Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire Spider-Verse and is 100% confirmed by the actor to be involved in Spider-Man No Way Home. Now this for me 100% confirms there's some type of multiverse manipulation going on here. Does that guarantee that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are going to be involved in that? No, but for me, it's very specific to bring Alfred Molina's Doc Ock back and nobody else. And he even says, specifically talking about the role, it was wonderful, it was very interesting, going back after 17 years to play the same role, given that in the intervening years, I now have 2 chins, a waddle, crow's feet, and a slightly dodgy lower back. He also explains that when he asked about his character dying, he was given the answer, in the Marvel Universe, no one really dies. Which for me means they're opening the door for a lot of characters, maybe like Osborn, who died in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, to return and play these roles in this huge multiverse film. The same goes for Jamie Foxx, who confirmed his involvement in this film on Instagram by posting pictures and talking about how he's back as Electro. This also was all over the internet as he was actually the first multiverse actor confirmed to be brought over from Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man and to be involved in the MCU Spider-Man. So that's 2 characters from 2 different universes who have themselves confirmed to be involved in No Way Home. So this is 100% a multiverse film because that's the only way these guys can come back and play their original characters back in screen in the MCU is if there is some type of multiverse manipulation or issue going on, which ties right back into what Kevin Feige said about this movie leading directly to the Multiverse of Madness. And then of course we have another character which does come from the Sam Raimi universe and who was already in the MCU in the last Spider-Man movie, and that was James Jonas Jameson from the Daily Bugle. Now the Daily Bugle has a different look than it did in the Sam Raimi universe, however it is the same actor and the same character. It's a slightly different look, but overall it makes you wonder if he is a same character in a different multiverse with similar characteristics, or if it is the exact same individual from a different multiverse who was brought over during the events of Endgame somehow, and it all is starting to come crashing down around us. Now I'm referring to the multiverse and different people being teleported to different locations, which is causing a huge, insane effect. We've learned from Loki and a toy that was recently released that the MCU timeline is the sacred timeline. At least that's what it says on the back of the toy box, and any manipulation would probably directly affect the sacred timeline, as everything else is just branches off of what would be called a sacred timeline. While we're talking about the Daily Bugle, let's talk about the recent trailers that have been released for Morbius and Venom 2, Let There Be Carnage. We know that Sony has wanted Spider-Man, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, for a long time to be able to cross over into the Sony universe and to join his Spider-Man foes and friends going on in the movies over there. They originally wanted him to debut in Venom, but Kevin Feige said no. After a lot of arguing and some new deals being made, it seems like Sony is starting to get their way as they are starting to creep a lot of Spider-Man stuff and MCU stuff into both the Morbius trailer and the new Venom trailer. We saw the exact same Daily Bugle from the Sam Raimi universe, and we even saw the word Avengers on the newspaper on the opposite side. And then in the Morbius trailer, we saw Michael Keaton, who played Adrian Toome's Vulture in the MCU make an appearance talking to Morbius. So a lot of confusion is coming from all over. Then you add the Sam Raimi Spider-Man with the word murderer written over it that was also in the Morbius trailer. It really starts to bring up a lot of questions about where the Sony universe is colliding with the MCU and what universe the Sony movies are actually taking place in. If it's the Sam Raimi universe that was already created way back during the first Spider-Man trilogy, or if it's a different universe altogether. Sadly, time will only tell with that one, as it is kind of coming together piece by piece as we're getting more information from different Sony movies. But the next piece of evidence I have also has to do with Sony and Disney and the new deal they just came out with, which will allow Disney to put all of the Spider-Man movies on Disney+. The only reason Disney might actually want these old Spider-Man movies, other than the fact that a lot of people really like them, is because they are very soon going to connect to the MCU, and they're going to need to be there so that you can continue to have that continual story and understand everything that's going on in the MCU. This is a huge red flag for me, and it's a very new piece of news, a new deal that Disney and Sony have just come together with and gone public with. And for me, it's very interesting the timing of it all, seeing that Spider-Man No Way Home is just around the corner, and those connections are going to require the viewers to know the movies from Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Our next piece of evidence comes from Tom Holland himself, and it comes from two different instances where he talks about his knowledge of the MCU. Originally, he came out pretty excited saying he knows everything and that Disney's starting to trust him, and he's super excited for the future because they entrusted him with all of the news. And then a little bit more recently, he got up and said, "I don't know anything, they haven't told me," when he was asked specifically about the multiverse and the inclusion of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. Now those are two very different statements from Tom Holland, one being they told me everything and I'm super excited and I'm not going to spoil it, and the other one being, yeah, they haven't told me anything, I don't know. That contradiction came specifically when he was asked about the multiverse after he already said he knows everything, and his only way out of it was to say, "I don't know." Which obviously he has to say. He's not allowed to come out and just say, "Yeah guys, multiverse film, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are awesome, it was great filming with them." However, it does seem to me pretty suspicious that he flip-flopped from going from "I know everything" to "I don't know anything." Some more pretty intense evidence is coming from the stunt doubles of all of these characters who are continuously tagging each other in Instagram videos and talking about the different games they're playing on set while they're waiting to continue on with their stunts. There was even an instance where Andrew Garfield's stunt double specifically tagged Tom Holland's stunt double and congratulated him on being a very talented artist. All of these were later taken down, but the fact that they were posted at all and then taken down, just like everything else, makes me feel like there's something people are trying to hide here and that was accidentally put out by the crew members who weren't really thinking about the implications of being on a set together. And then of course we have the leaked photos of the crew gear that they got after they finished wrapping, and this is specifically a t-shirt that was posted on an Instagram post, and then the entire account was deleted as well with the evidence and the picture, but this was a picture of the Spider-Man No Way Home crew shirts that they got, and it had Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man on it, but in other sections of the shirt on the opposite side, we could see it was very obviously covered up, probably hiding other Spider-Men who were showing up on the shirt. And maybe they didn't think we would notice that it was Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man suit and not Tom Holland's, but that's pretty much a dead giveaway, especially since the other part of the shirt was hidden, probably where Tobey Maguire and Tom Holland were, and they were just too close together for him to show Tom Holland, so he showed Andrew Garfield, but we're some eagle-eyed fans out there, and we don't miss a whole lot. So we noticed it was Andrew Garfield's shirt, and of course, like I said, that Instagram was not only taken down for the post, but completely deleted. And then of course we have all of these different separate plot leaks we're hearing that talk about Willem Dafoe's Osborn and Green Goblin reappearing in the MCU. Now this last one isn't as much evidence as it is just kind of compelling to hear from multiple different sources. There are a lot of people who are talking about Green Goblin and Willem Dafoe making a very sure appearance in this film, and even probably being the big bad that Spider-Man is going to have to look out for, or should I say Spider-Men are going to have to look out for. There's a huge conspiracy that there might even be two Osborns, and that the Osborn from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man is going to end up manipulating the MCU Osborn and probably making him a little bit more evil than he was to begin with. The last piece of evidence that I have is more of an impulse and a feeling, and any MCU fan or Marvel fan of any sort can see and feel this, and that just is the overall direction of the MCU and Phase 4 right now. Picking up after the Infinity Saga, Marvel has to do something huge. And I don't think there's much bigger right now for the fans to be excited about than the Spider-Verse coming together in a live-action sequence. Seeing Tobey Maguire return will bring huge nostalgia for so many fans, and of course, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland, and Tobey Maguire again, all on one screen, is going to be absolutely insane. There's no way this movie doesn't make $1 billion on the box office if this is the direction they decide to go. Following the multiverse, the ideas of the multiverse, a movie being called The Multiverse of Madness, and multiple name drops for the multiverse throughout the last few movies and TV shows that have come out. And then, of course, to top it all off, Loki series literally talking about different variants and characters played by different characters, all within this time zone, time jumping multiverse issue, really hits it on the nose for me that this Spider-Man movie might be the big, huge explosion from all of the multiverse pressure that we've been feeling. And of course, we're going to want to keep that a huge secret, because how exciting is it to see that on screen for the first time when you're in the theaters? Now, of course, that's a huge secret to keep, but if they can pull it off and it ends up being the direction Marvel is going and Sony are going right now, what an amazing opportunity we are going to have as fans to be absolutely amazed at the release of this movie. Now, we're still waiting on a real teaser trailer and an actual trailer for No Way Home, and maybe somewhere in one of those two we will get an actual reveal for the multiverse and for the multiple Spider-Men that we should be expecting in this movie. But again, it's possible that we won't, and that they'll try to keep this an actual secret and deny it until the release of the film. But that is a time will tell kind of situation. But as for me, all of this evidence really does start to stack up on top of itself. It gets pretty heavy and pretty damning as far as whether or not we should be expecting multiple Spider-Men, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire included, in the future of this MCU project. What do you guys think? I've heard a lot of different thoughts and opinions from a lot of different people, but after I sat here and listed out all of the overwhelming evidence, do you still think it's possible that this isn't happening? Or are you also on board thinking we should be expecting a multiverse film featuring our 3 favorite Spider-Men? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I actually am very curious what you guys think after all of this has been laid out. If you guys still think we're just making this up in our heads, or if there's actually something here to get excited about. Let me know your thoughts, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any of our daily uploads for all things major movie and television news that we're posting right here on Cosmic Culture.